Yes, my first summary of what I understand is going on with the Justice for Mohbad movement so far. I understand that the family is divided over different interests. For instance, the family wants everything out of the situation, but justice is secondary, not primary. Primary among their interests, of course, we have seen includes whatever they can make of the moment. Adura wants to continue the legacy, probably use the avenue to also blue so that Mohbad's fame doesn't just go down. He wants to advance his own career in music too. The mother doesn't just want to return to old life. Mohbad already gave her some elevated status. Mohbad already had some promises for her, already rented apartment for her, was already trying to make the family better. Even if she can't progress beyond the standard Mohbad lead, she wants to be able to at least sustain what level she was already brought to. The father felt, well, he suffered enough for the boy, but that he isn't get. That's my own view so far. I may not be totally correct. And now that Mohbad is gone, everybody is looking for what they can get, and they cannot be left out too. Um, the wife feels, well, I have his child with Mohbad, and the boy is not supposed to suffer. So these interests divided the family, and there are people who came across like they wanted to help them get justice for Mohbad and are exploiting these divisions among the various members of the families and quarters. So some came genuinely, though others came to say, well, if somebody's already with Mohbad's wife, some people are already with the father, let us also camp Mohbad's brother and see how we can be telling him he can do, so different people coming around to advance different interests, although some are genuine and some are also reasonable, but then it has now pitched tents of different camps within the same family. So this disunity has become like a barrier to justice itself. Now, fast forward to Yomi Fabiyi's involvement. There was a chat from Adura Mohbad's brother's device, an account, to Yomi Fabiyi, and something of interest came up. A clip, very short, was released as part of what was claimed to be evidence of the scene, commotive scene, or likely could have purportedly led to death of Mohbad on the fateful day. So that short clip was not released in full, and that triggered something in Yomi Fabiyi, who would say, no, if police ask this, it should lead them to cause of death. Even if not the immediate cause of death, at least some remote. That short clip suggested Wumi and another person, in almost a physical brawl, that Yomi Fabiyi would think that was Mohbad. And if that was, who pushed who, what led to, what happened afterwards. So the person who chatted with Yomi Fabiyi using Adura's account, if that was Adura himself or another person, as Adura has later said, he sold the phone to one Damola. So where is the full clip? That is exactly what Yomi Fabiyi is asking. If you can get hold of that full clip, it can tell us something. That short clip Yomi Fabiyi saw is enough to trigger curiosity, like what happened in the scene. As the police seen it, what could have ended this particular scene? Where is the rest of the video? So Yomi Fabiyi is insisting that even if you sold that phone to somebody, at least that clip was already on that phone before you sold it. And the phone, being an iPhone, should have iCloud account. So that particular content is important enough to have been archived by anyone who really cares. But Adura is saying that that video is not a new video, and that it was even recorded by Mohbad himself. That it was Mohbad, like jocularly, or like they were just making jest, recording Wumi and another person, just having some kind of more like a banter, and it was Mohbad himself who recorded it. According to what I deduced by myself, that phone belonged to Mohbad. was bought by Mohbad, given to Wunmi at first, retrieved from Wunmi, and later given to Adura. So Adura now sold it, according to Adura, now sold it to Damola, who was also a former PA to Mohbad. So that is the history of that phone. So Adura is saying the video in question was 3 years old. It's 3 years old now, and it was recorded by Mohbad himself when he was still with the phone before he gave it out. So whether it is true or false, any logical being will still ask, can we see the full content? Even if it was not a recent video or had nothing to do with the scene of death, can we just see? Because it is raising curiosity already. Let's just see the full content. Long and short, it's not out of place to ask, what is the content in that video, even if it is 10 years old? Because of the curiosity and the nature of the matter, we are now all looking at justice. It's okay not to leave any stone unturned. We should check everything. The police is saying that they are only limiting their own investigation to who texted you, whether it was Adura or Damola, that they are not interested really in content itself, but they are only interested in the petition, Adura's complaint, which was that somebody used a device he sold to be impersonating with another person, in this case Yomi Fabiyi. But Yomi Fabiyi is saying, no, don't just be interested in who was behind the device chatting with me. Let's be interested also in the material content of the video we are curious about. Do not forget that from the beginning, there was also the curiosity as to DNA of the boy, because they said argument arose as to paternity of the child that led to physical brawl also. So that is also causing further rift, and the question as to why the father doesn't want Wunmi to share in, I don't know how big yet the properties owned by Mohbad is, that everybody is trying to make sure that they are relevant in the sharing or owning entirely. Father is saying that is my son. I don't believe that boy is his own. The lady is saying I was with him throughout, he did this and that. DNA or no DNA, I think if everybody had cooperated, a DNA would have resolved that issue. Maybe that would bring about the unity of the family again. But I still do not know why there's forth and back as to a simple DNA if there's no question of guilt. Now to the mother. The mother is saying she's not against justice, but that she doesn't also want Adura implicated again, because there's this grief. Like, yeah, as Africans, we share the sentiment of, oh, somebody just lost their son. You don't want to add more to the grief, to the pains and sorrow and all that. If you continue to drag Adura, you will continue to return by extension. It's easier said than done, though. Like you say, no, why can't you do that? You're not a good mother. We must know the cause of the death of everybody is a suspect. Yes, including whoever now who is showing interest in the matter. Everybody is a suspect. But then the mother is saying, well, I can't afford a second tragedy. Like, it will be double loss. So Yomi Fabiyi is right. Mohbad's mother is right. Mohbad's mother is right to the extent that do not twist anything. The person behind the phone is already arrested. Yomi Fabiyi is also right to the extent that we are not interested in who is behind the chatting. We are interested in what is the full content of that video. In the quest for justice like this, in a mysterious circumstance, there are no right or wrong answers or approaches. Everybody has their, is it perpendicular, angular, that they are coming from to approach the issue. The parents, the mother who has just lost one and is looking to protect the second one, will perceive everybody as enemy. And she was also saying, for instance, that even when Mohbad wrote petition to the police about those who were bullying him, what outcome came from it? Until the boy died. And now that you are doing this to the second boy, she's suspecting now that there's been a twist in order to further robe Adura into another thing he probably didn't know anything about. That they already arrested the person behind the chatting with Yomi Fabiyi, and that there was no need any further to start looking at trying to implicate Adura again. Publishing the full length of the video just to show that it meant nothing, and that it was recorded by Mohbad himself as claimed by Adura, will solve all of these things. Number two, let the family agree on the DNA so that all these disagreements, disunity that is now being exploited, many people don't open office on top this matter. They are exploiting the division. Some camp with Wumi, some camp with Adura, some camp with fighting for the dead somewhere, some camp with everybody trying to create their own office out of the situation. So I feel that a simple DNA will unite the family. Let the father be convinced that he has a grandson with Wumi. Let the public also be satisfied as to the content in that video, that only few seconds of it was shared with Yomi Fabiyi, which is now raising curiosity.